there's kind of three supports here that are potentially going to keep prices kind of moving forward at this point and at least providing some support for the markets here over the next couple of months. Again, but let me just restate, it doesn't mean that there can't be a correction along the way. So here's what you need to know before the bell this morning. October begins the seasonally strong 6 months of the year. So October, November, December, January, February, March, those tend to be the strongest months of the year. And historically, October turns out about a 1% advance. Here's the interesting thing, though, is that right now, we've had 5 straight months in a row of advance. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've had 5 monthly gains in the S&P 500 index. And this occurred, during the seasonally weak period of the year as well. So again, when markets just kind of gravitate higher over a period of time, that's fine. But, as we've talked about before, you get these deviations from moving averages and you get overbought conditions, and those typically tend to lead to some reversals. But 5 months advance, 5 months in advance is getting to be on the fairly long end of the streak. If you go back historically and look, you get 5 months here, you have a month down. Again, doesn't mean the market's correct, have a massive correction. But once you have 5, 6 months in a row, you typically get a market that pulls back again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have a correction for a month. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you have a correction for a month. Of course, then you had this kind of topping process that led to the April, and you've had now 5 months in a row. You'll see that pattern repeat all throughout history. Now, are there periods where you went longer than 5 months before a month, kind of a month correction period? Yes, of course, we've gone 6 months, 7 months. And again, but those get to be a little bit more abnormal. I've written some reports about this before. But again, that's just the momentum chase in the market. So even though we're about to enter into the seasonally strong period of the year, don't be surprised that if we see a little bit of a corrective action here at some point, maybe October turns out to be a little bit weaker month just because of this, or you have a correction in November or December. That wouldn't be surprising here at all. But again, it's just the function that when you have this much of an advance over a short period of time, markets typically have like a cooling off period. Again, that's all we're talking about here. We're not talking about a major correction of any sort, but the market kind of needs to reset itself a bit, come down, reset on moving averages in some manner. So a 3, 4, 5% correction during the period of a month would not be surprising at all at this juncture. And then that would set you up for kind of the year-end rally. Again, doesn't have to happen, but it's just something to be thinking about, particularly given, that markets are, again, deviated from long-term moving averages. This recent kind of sell-off that we had a few days ago that retested the 20-day moving average did work off relative strength a bit, but it's recovered most of that over the last couple of days. Again, this is where we are, but again, just seasonally speaking now, we are entering in that stronger period of the year. Again, as we talked about before, we're about to get into earnings season. That will start up in about 2 weeks in earnest. Then we'll have corporate buybacks starting to open back up by the end of the month. That'll provide additional buying support. You have a lot of momentum in the market. And then right now, you've got a lot of professionals that are still kind of lagging the markets at this point in terms of allocations. See some catch up with that by the end of the year. So there's kind of 3 supports here that are potentially going to keep prices kind of moving forward at this point and at least providing some support for the markets here over the next couple of months. Again, but let me just restate, it doesn't mean that there can't be a correction along the way. So it just doesn't mean blue skies from here, but it does suggest that prices will probably be higher by the end of the year than they are right now. So I know, just the way it is, kind of crazy. But that's what you need to know before the bell this morning.